Okay, how can we bridge the gap between Japan and Europe? And we have been talking about education, and we were not in agreement as to how feasible, how realistic it is to actually bring those changes to the education system in Japan. So basically, what I suggested is that, first of all, very simple, to improve the English education. Improving English education is not the hardest part. It's just the first step. It's just like the binary layer in a computer system. It's the minimum requirement, because you will need to be able to kind of understand and express yourself in English. English, unfortunately, for Japanese, is the global language. So not only with English-speaking people, but basically with anyone in the world, you will be able to communicate as long as you speak and understand English. So English education needs to improve. The best way forward, I mean, there is a gap, I think, at the moment, that even the people who are supposed to teach English very often do not have a level themselves that is good enough to be effective teachers of English. So how can we improve this? By bringing more foreigners into the English education in Japan. E-learning is very good. There are a lot of Japanese people who use Skype and communicate with teachers in the Philippines is an option. I think there are lots of opportunities to actually improve English education, bring more teachers, more. There are lots of tools out there. I believe that the way to really learn English, the best way is to do it in a practical way. That means engaging with people in English, meeting people, and have conversations in English, watch movies in English without subtitles. That's, I think, it's a very good way to get comfortable with the way English is being pronounced, the way that certain phrases and these things will be easily picked up if you regularly watch English movies and things like that. So even though it's far off and it's difficult to learn, I don't think that this is impossible to let more and more people speak English. Will everybody be able to read The Economist? Probably not, but that's also not really necessary. But to have a basic English understanding, to improve the general level of English, will help the Japanese society to become more open and more easy to engage with foreigners.
By the way, how do you think about recent Japanese people compared with 10 years ago? Recently, you meet with Japanese, right, and speak English. How do you feel that is English speakers is still, I don't know how much percentage of people can speak English well, or
okay, so to be honest with you, I think that if you meet a 20-year-old in Tokyo, around 20-year-old in Tokyo, then I think the level is definitely improving. From the countryside, I don't see much progress. Young people in the countryside, they don't speak English, still not. But in Tokyo, I see more kids are getting better at speaking English.
My question is like this. Okay, just daily colloquial conversation, or more advanced, a little bit more about talking about economies, politics, and sort of things, or some level of the European people daily conversation level, or they will going to attainable, or it's I think very far from that point. This is my concern. This English, right? So
Right.
which
So,
point, which certain point or level, European people will accept or agree with those Japanese to communicate to tell what the truth or to tell what they are thinking about. But actually, current Japanese
right.
people level, you people don't want to talk what do you think, like what you're thinking about. Sort of kind of
Right.
issues what you concerned. You don't speak that kind of concerns because of level of those Japanese people, Japanese English, right?
Right.
How do you think? This is
So,
my
so
question.
I think actually, I cannot answer this question for everybody, but I will try anyway. I think that it's not really a matter of how well somebody speaks English. I know Japanese people whose English language capacity is rather limited, but they have a very engaging personality. So even though their English is not perfect, still they are capable of communicating because they are not afraid to make mistakes. They use whatever they have. They use a lot of body language, and they're very open and engaging. And in that way, it doesn't matter whether their English is not perfect, because we can still understand them, and we realize that they are eager to communicate. And that kind of eagerness, that kind of enthusiasm, that creates a kind of reciprocity. So we also feel like, okay, we want to communicate. Unfortunately, there are not that many people who are that enthusiastic to speak English if they are not perfect. I think that's a
Okay,
bigger